Hey guys, tonight I want to talk about triggers. And while I've been talking about depression, I want to talk about triggers just in general because triggers occur for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with depression, if you're dealing with any sort of mental illness, or if you're not dealing with anything. I mean, if you're just going through life, you're going to have triggers. It's just how things operate. So we want to look at those triggers and really kind of dive into them. So I'm just going to use myself as an example. With my postpartum depression, it took a couple of years for me to really get on the upswing. And what that looked like was I spent more time not being depressed than I spent being depressed. I think about now I would say it's 20% depression, 80% just normal, happy. You know, I feel joy now, which I didn't for years. Long before I ever got postpartum, I didn't even know what joy was. So to have that type of ratio, I figure is pretty good. And I continue to discover depression all of the time. It's not, you know, it's termed depression, but I think at this point it's just normal. And I'm going to have those times where I slip into a slump, and that's what everybody does, and it's normal. It's just part of being human. When you're in postpartum depression, that normal just doesn't really happen. It's just all the time. And that's true for any depression. It's just there are varying degrees of misery, but it's basically all falls in the same category. So, kind of the world of depression there, but triggers. When I go into my depressive episodes, or when I start to just feel really, really, really low, it typically occurs because of a trigger. I'm not usually aware of what the trigger is. And that's the key that you want to look at. If you're sliding into depression, if you're sliding into any type of negative emotion, whether you're dealing with depression or not, if you go into a negative emotion, first of all, one, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's one thing that you really, really have to get. Emotions are just emotions. They just are. You're going to experience the highs and the lows. You're going to have joy and you're going to have misery. That's part of life and part of humanity. Now, we want to make it wrong. That's what we do. We don't want to be miserable. We don't want to be crying in our bedroom or in our bathroom or in our shower. We don't want to have water leaking from our eyes. Heaven forbid we cry. I mean, it occurs as weakness. It occurs as whatever story we put on it, but we do not want to go there. So when we start slipping into that emotional whatever, our first reaction is to make it wrong. Oh no, here we go again. There's something wrong with me. I'm broken. Whatever story you have, it's all varying degrees. But we take on those stories, slip into them, try them on, leave them there, and then we spiral. So, first step, we can't make it wrong. And learning to not make it wrong, that actually takes some effort. So, while you may not be able to identify your triggers immediately, start looking for them. I know for me, like, I really have been dealing with some triggers in my life lately. There's some upheaval going on, you know, and that's a trigger for me. Things start to change and I get triggered and I have to start looking. And the difference now when I experience my breakdowns as opposed to when I was dealing with postpartum is that eventually I do get in communication. If I can't talk to the person that I need to talk to, then I'll talk to somebody else. And it may take me a week to do it. It may take like some serious looking, okay, I'm dealing with something for me to actually do it. But I will get in communication, and that's the second key. Once you have gotten triggered and you recognize yourself going to that, if you can't pull yourself out immediately by changing your thoughts, changing your actions, taking time for yourself, then you get in communication. And you find somebody that can work through that with you and really get to the heart of what you're dealing with. Now, the interesting part about it all is usually our triggers come from way, way, way back when. I know what I'm dealing with currently. It's something that's probably, it's an incompletion. That's another term, incompletion, something that you haven't gotten complete from your childhood or from an experience that never quite left. So I think the one I'm dealing with now actually is from my postpartum. There are incompletions that I have never dealt with from when I had postpartum depression. They are coming back. They're telling me it's time to look at them and get them complete. And when you're in that experience, you often feel the same emotions because they're your access to seeing what is going on and why. So that's why you don't make those emotions wrong. You learn to get in communication and really help somebody, have somebody that can dive into it with you and uncover what's really there so you can get it complete. So I have gotten coaching around this. Got some really great coaching today, and I'm still dealing with it. And I still have these incompletions that are in my space, and I'm going to continue looking at them, because the thing with those incompletions, and I've had this occur over and over and over, and I've coached many people on this particular area. When there's an incompletion and you can pull it up, look at it, turn it around your hand, whatever, it's a communication that you never got. Something needed to be said, or you needed to say something, and you never said it, or you never heard it. It becomes incomplete. When we can get those things complete, they disappear. So the depression may be an incompletion. It may be something that's saying, hey, it's time to look at me. Let's get free of this. And that's why I say look at your triggers. Look at those emotions. They're not bad. They're simply a guide. They're a roadmap saying, okay, maybe it's time to get some freedom around this particular story or particular ideal. Maybe it's time to let this go now. And for me, that's what I get to do. There are some things I need to let go of, and I've been holding on to them very, very tightly for whatever reason, because somehow it's safer to hang on to that than it is to just be free of that. We got to watch for that. We're so used to having those stories. It actually takes courage to let them go and to get the coaching to make it disappear in your life. So that is what I want to leave you with. Incompletions, they can get complete. You can have freedom. You can have healing through a conversation. Triggers, they're just triggers. They're there for you to start looking and to start diving. And emotion, they're just emotions. You're going to experience them. Highs, lows, all of it. So don't make it wrong. But they're access into your freedom. So like I said in the last one, we are all in this together. I'm here to support through postpartum, through depression, through whatever you're dealing with. That's what lights me up, is to help people rediscover their own power and their own value. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. So thank you for watching this video. I know it's longer than normal, and I appreciate you taking the time.